Today I am at a friend's place and we are having a wonderful time watching the Geminids meteor shower tonight, hoping that the clouds stay out of the way. So kind of a light day of production. I worked on a few different projects, a little bit here and there, kind of building things together. I forgot an adapter for my keyboard, so I can't put in MIDI. I have to type it in, which just, I don't know, after like getting used to using a keyboard, it becomes a lot more aggravating to like type in notes and just feels a lot less creative. But the first thing I did was watch some videos on Pro-Q4, the new FabFilter EQ plugin. Everyone has been saying you got to get Pro-Q3, and like not just like people in the comments, not just people in Discords, but like professionals I know. And recently in my Discord, I linked a video from Big Z here, this why buying more plugins makes your music worse. I recommend going and watching that video. It's a really, really good lesson if you're someone who finds yourself buying lots of plugins but don't feel like your music's actually getting that much better. He's got some really good thoughts in there. And I've always been someone who has stood by the mantra of like, use the tools that are at your disposal. Generally, we like to blame the tools when we're not doing well. We want something to be the problem other than us. Generally, almost always, it is us. And the truth is, you can do almost anything you're seeing from any creator out there with the stock plugins that are built in to whatever DAW you're using. And this video kind of talks through that. And he does say at one point though, like, hey, there's a few exceptions to this rule, but in general, new plugins are not going to help you that much. And then he literally releases a video on FabFilter's Pro-Q4 review and talked about this is one of those few exceptions. This is one of those plugins that really, really matters. And I just from watching some of the stuff that they have in this video, you can see kind of like where I've got it paused here. Like this way where they have things pan that you can bring all the different EQs in from across the mix you're doing and compare them and contrast them, and also tell them like cross-reference versus one, like tell me, hey, which of these EQs has frequencies that are coming through that are like being destructive to this one up here. And then additionally, it's got some of the features that Soothe has, with dynamic compression. Pro-Q3 had dynamic compression. I believe it's got the side chaining mode as well. I don't know. Pro-Q4 seems like something that, as I was watching through the video, go watch this video if you want the full breakdown on kind of how it works and you haven't already seen. But it does seem like one of those tools that probably actually opens up a lot of new functionality that I don't currently have. So $180 is a lot for a plugin, but it's probably something I'm going to end up buying. The other things I worked on today, I went through this first Noel piece that we wrote previously. It's wrote is kind of a, maybe a bit of a stretch, but just started to kind of like put some other basic things in place and really go through this solo MIDI and clean it up. This is a thing that one of you write in a big long solo that's supposed to be very performative. There's a lot of decisions you have to make as to like, what do you quantize? What do you not quantize? How do you take notes? What notes do you leave in? What notes do you leave out? What sort of real things do you like to leave out? What sort of artifacts that make it sound more real? And it's a pretty tedious process. Things like, like over here where you have this note's going up and then this guy's here. This little guy here is a little like, as I was like playing up, I just like kind of, I fat fingered, like just kind of hit that note on accident as I was going up. But it creates this wonderful little accent because this is a mono patch where whatever the most recent note that gets played is the only note that'll ring out. So this goes up to the correct note and then dips down for just a second, and then as I let go, it goes back up to this note that's ringing out. Because that little just a little articulation. It's cool, and there was more of those, some of which were maybe too much, some of which were actually not in the tones that I wanted, and so I moved those around. And the big thing, the one tip I'll say, if you've somehow made it this far in what I think is kind of a boring video today, if you're like, how do you make those decisions, Wavepunk? The biggest thing I'll say is, if you've got a run and you're like, this feels kind of out of time, I don't know quite. It's too expressive. The thing I would start with is quantize your downbeats. Like take the note that hits the downbeat, quantize that, and then let the rest of the notes kind of sit in the pocket. So you can see these notes here are all kind of off beat, but then I have the actual downbeat one quantized. If your downbeats are quantized, you will be able, it'll feel like you'll have this kind of like falling run, and then like the note it lands on will be directly on the moment you want it to be. I think it's a pretty easy place to start when you're like, I want this to be expressive. I don't want to quantize the whole thing and make it really rigid and robotic, but I also want it to be in time. Where's the middle ground? Quantize the downbeats and then tweak off of that. Sometimes certain notes, once you quantize the downbeats, will feel out of sync, and then you kind of need to like fudge some numbers around and stuff like that. But yeah, this took some time. Watching those tutorials took some time. I also started to work on this. Not the same. If you know Wicked, you'll recognize maybe that opening chords. I'm excited to try and make a really hyper upbeat drum and bass version of Defying Gravity. I found one of these on YouTube. I linked it in my Discord for people to listen to. It's really, really pretty, and I kind of want to do my own twist on it, and maybe have this be something that goes out more on social media than anywhere else. But yeah, this is a fun little project of kind of like putting together a few different layers of basses up here, with kind of the one that is the tone, and then one that is the sub, and then we have the horns. Most of these I built from scratch just for this, just again getting practice building things. This horn one's kind of fun because this controls detune. And it kind of like, it starts off kind of detuned and then pulls into like really resonant, and then slowly lets go as the notes go on longer to let them be a little bit more, you know, just I had the notes change a little bit over time. This guy was just a drum loop, and then these little bells down here that give that little, you know, classic. So this is fun. Obviously very, very early stages, but excited to build this out a little bit further and then create something I can like play a big solo over the top of and make that just a little like piece of content on TikTok. So that'd be kind of fun. Anyways, that's all I had time for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.